بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream on a gorgeous Tuesday. It's a little bit nippy, but the sun is out. Say something wrong? Gorgeous Tuesday. Sun is out, slightly nippy, but otherwise a beautiful day out. Let's start off with a quick read here. Some of brothers asked about the beard in the Maliki School. So let me read directly to you the nusus that I'm going to read to you from Al-Qadi Iyad, Ikmal al-Muallim. He is we came across his citation in the niqab discussion. He says it's mandub, and Qadi Iyad is not nobody, right? So although Sheikh Mahmoud did say that he's not the, he's from the latter scholars of the madhab, but nonetheless, we honor him and respect all of his opinions. And we're going to take also from An-Nafrawi. An-Nafrawi came late in Islamic history, and he did a commentary on Ar-Risala, the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, who was known as Malik as-Saghir, and he is the last person. Before everyone after him is considered the latter Maliki scholars. Before him is considered the early Maliki scholars, and they actually disputed on him himself. Is he from the early ones or from the latter ones? Okay, so we're not going to get into that discussion, but we will read from what they said. So first of all, the beard in the Maliki school is wajib for men. Men have to keep a beard. Okay, it's wajib for a man to keep it, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam amara an tu'fa al-liha. The beard should be left. Okay, in other words, have a beard. So what is the limit of this beard? The bare minimum is that it's apparent. Okay, as Sheikh al-Maghili commented on that, al-buruz, that it should be apparent. It's got to show that it looks like you have a beard. Okay, it's got to show. So this is the amr here is wujub. And the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah commanded me, it means it is wajib. And there were none of the companions who shaved off their beards. So the Shafi'iyya may have a different opinion on that, so you could go look at what the Shafi'iyya say. Okay. As for the length, so we said that's the minimum, bare minimum, that you are called, you have a beard and you fulfilled this obligation to your Lord as he created you, and is one of the things that separates men from women. So what is the excess in the length, or the is there a limit in the length? As we know, and Shafi'i school has no limit in the length, but the Maliki school does have a limit in the length, and that limit is that which it has there are two reasons for this limit. Number one, once it becomes shuhra, it becomes something that you become known for, right? It's something that people will start saying, go to the man with the big beard, get the guy with the big beard. So once it goes to that level, then it's not good. To have that's what's discouraged. Okay, and to do that, imagining that this is piety, Malik said he dislikes it. وَكَرِهَ مَالِكٌ طُولُهَا جِدًّا. Okay, that is from Qadi Iyad, and Nawawi repeats it, and others repeat it, all taking from that statement from Malik. وَكَرِهَ مَالِكٌ طُولُهَا جِدًّا. طُولَهَا جِدًّا. He hated it to be very long. Okay, why? Because that's not the sunnah of the companions. So the companions, Umar ibn Khattab and Abu Huraira, they used to grab their beard and cut what is underneath it. So that's what's known as al-qabda. Okay, so وَيُكْرَهُ الشُّهْرَ فِي تَعْظِيمِهَا وَتَحْلِيَتِهَا. What is also makruh is to use a blade and to shape it. All right, as some people do. Mostly, some people do this and they shape it perfectly. That's also makruh, because that's almost like, at that point, it's excess. It's also something that the Sahaba didn't do in shaping their beard perfectly with a blade. Okay. وَلَمْ يَتُرْكَ الْحَدِّ الشُّهْرَةِ. So we mentioned that. What's the other had that they put for it? The other limit is at-tashwih. When it's excessively long and it becomes ugly. At-tashwih wal-muthla wal-qubh. It's the same, pretty much same meaning. Al-muthla, it's like you're deformed. It's like a deformation of the human being. So we also mentioned that phrase, or that word, also quoting Nafrawi on the mustache. So someone who has a beard but shaves the mustache, that Malik considered that a muthla, and he did not approve of that. He actually forbade that. So Malik looked at the action of the Sahaba. If none of them did that, then it's not to be done. Suddenly the Prophet ﷺ said, trim the mustache. So if you trim it, you have to have it. Okay? Can't trim nothing, right? So أما لو طالت كثيرا فأشار إلى حكمه بقوله قال مالك ولا بأس بالأخذ من طولها إذا طالت. Once it becomes long, you can take from its length. Okay. بحيث خرجت عن المعتاد لغالب الناس. So what is another definition of long here? Long. What is long? خرجت عن المعتاد لغالب الناس, meaning that the normal, this is beyond normal now. It's not normal length. All right. So there is a norm. What is a norm? Look around at what the pious Muslims do, and that's what the length of what too long would be like. Okay. فيقص الزائد لأن بقائه يقبح به المنظر ويقبح المنظر, because having it way too long becomes ugly, longer than what people are accustomed to. All right, so there is an element of the lihya, of the beard, where it's a matter of custom. Okay, al-mu'tad, al-'ada bayna an-nas. Bayna an-nas here, between the people, means the practicing Muslims who pray 5 times a day in the masajid and fast Ramadan, etc. Okay. All right, let's continue here. وحكم الأخذ حكم الأخذ الندب. The rule حكم الأخذ الندب. The ruling on trimming it is mandub. فلا بأس هنا لما هو خير من غيره والمعروف لا حد للمأخوذ. And what is known, there's no limit on how much you can take, provided that you still have a beard, and that it is mu'tad, that is what is known to the people as a beard. وينبغي الاقتصار على ما تحسن به الهيئة. He should trim it to the limit or of what makes him look appealing. تحسن به الهيئة, what makes him look good. الباجي said يقص ما زاد على القبضة, and he cuts what is under the قبضة. ويدل عليه فعل عمر وأبي هريرة فإنهما كانا يأخذان من لحيتهما ما زاد على القبضة. And we take this qabda rule or guideline of the qabda from the Sahaba. Who would know best on what the Prophet meant, right? When the Prophet said keep a beard, who would know best? They did. So the length would not pass the qabda, the chin length, or the fist length. Okay. And والمراد بطولها, and speaking of taking and clipping from the beard, this includes the sides. فلا بأس بالأخذ منها أيضا, and there's nothing wrong with taking from the sides. ولما كان قوله قال مالك ولا بأس يهم انفراد مالك بقوله ولكن ندب أخذ من الطويلة قبل مالك غير واحد من الصحابة. And many, he says here, this is not Malik's opinion alone, the companions themselves took from the sides. Okay? And the tabi'een also took from the sides, trim off the sides. Not trim off the sides, but trim from the sides, so that it would not be too long. Okay? ولا يعارضه ما روي عن مالك من ترك طولها حتى تبلغ حد التشويه لأن بيان الطول كثيرا لأن المطلق يحمل على المقيد وكما يستحب قص الزائد ويستحب تسريحها. It is recommended to comb it. لما ورد عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان جالسا فدخل عليه رجل. The Prophet was sitting and a man entered upon him. ثائر الرأس, he's disheveled. وثائر اللحية, his beard was disheveled. فأمره بالخروج ليسرح لحيته ورأسه. Take this, these were Bedouins. Some of these people didn't know better. They were very, very miskin, right? So they don't know any better. So he had so much hair on his head and it was wild, and his beard was all wild. He was commanded, the Prophet said, take him out, comb him up, clean him up. And then they combed him. سرحوه. فقال له, and the Prophet said, أليس هذا خيرا من أن يأتي أحدكم ثائر الرأس كأنه شيطان? Is this not better than somebody who comes with his hair in all sorts of different directions, wild, and disheveled as if he's a shaitan. So the Prophet ﷺ talks about here a man coming and looking so disheveled, and it's not appropriate, it's not good. All right, common sense applies here. We can see here the Messenger ﷺ applying this common sense. Okay. Let's see what else we have. What about halq ma taht al-hanak? Okay, so now they differed on removing what is beneath the chin, like this chin part here. And so some of the ulama, here it says, Nafrawi says that some of them said, no, that is forbidden. Okay, and others said it is permitted. Okay, why? Because it's from the fitrah. فَتَكُونُ إِزَالَتُهُ مِنَ الْفِطْرَةِ. Okay, so they say did different. So here in Nafrawi wants to bring the two together. وَأَقُولُ يُمْكِنُ الْجَمْعِ. It's possible to bring these two together. يحمل كلام الإمام على ما يلزم على بقائه تضرر الشخص ولا تشويه خلقته. So he says here, when the hair under the chin is improving the look of the person and it's not harming the person, then keep it. But if it has some harm to the person or it makes his beard look unsightly, then he may remove it. So that's how he brought the two together. Okay. وكلام غيره على ما يلزم على بقائه قبح منظر صاحبه والتضرر به قد روي أنه عليه الصلاة والسلام كان يأخذ من عرض لحيته وطولها وكان يأمر أن يؤخذ من باطن اللحية. And he says here the messenger himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to trim from the sides and from the length, and he used to command to take from the bottom of the lihya. So it's that it won't be sightly that your beard is longer from the chin than it is from this halq part here, this throat, the throat part. What is the English word for this part of the face? This part of the face. What is the under chin. So it wouldn't be sightly that your under chin hair is longer than your actual chin hair, right? So here, this is what it seems that the Prophet ﷺ is referring to regarding batin al-lihya. كان يأمر أن يؤخذ من باطن اللحية. وأما شعر الخد, as for the chin hair, this cheek right here, this cheek, all right, what is the ruling on removing it? Ibn Arafah says it can be removed completely. Okay, this right here can be removed completely, according to Ibn Arafah, who was from Tunisia, who was one of the last, considered the last mujtahid in the madhab. And Ibn Arafah lived, I'll tell you exactly when he lived. Ibn Arafah lived, he died, actually, you know what? Hold on, let me renew this here. Ibn Arafah, I will tell you when he died, pretty early on. You have 803, I have 803 in Tunisia. 803 after the Hijrah is considered the last of the mujtahid imams in the madhabs, in the Maliki School. Okay, and his student is Ibn Marzuq. So Ibn Arafah, he permits that, and so therefore the beard, the lihya, would be the jawbone area. All right. وأما شعر الأنف. Okay. Wait, there's more here. العنفقة. وأما شعر العنفقة فيحرم إزالته كحرمة إزالة شعر اللحية. What is the anfaqa? This part right here. The anfaqa is this element right here, takes the ruling of the beard. You cannot shave it off. Okay, you can trim it, but you cannot shave it off. Okay. I love this section on Nafrawi, and I answered one question on it. I'm going to translate the whole thing eventually, inshallah. Put it back on Maliki Fiqh QA. He now talks about, what about the nose hair? The nose hair. As for the nose hair, we go now. شعر الأنف فقد استحب بعض الفضلاء قصه لا نتفه. Some of the scholars, they liked you to cut your nose hair. Trim. Listen, this is going to make you a good husband. Your wife's going to actually, maybe she might like you because you don't have nose hair sticking up. Brothers, look in the mirror. If you have nose hair sticking out, your wife sees that. You don't see it. Your wife sees it. You don't see it. Not only just your wife, potential woman. I might marry this guy. Okay, let's have a conversation. Oh my God, I can't stop looking at his nose hairs. So what you need to go is you go to Amazon, $9. You spend $9 for the sake of your marriage. And you get a little machine. Zzz, Removes the nose hairs. Now, the scholars even talked about this. They said we prefer cutting it, not plucking it. If you pluck a nose hair, it doesn't hurt because it's so thin. However, the scholars said because the nose hair actually benefits you. There are benefits to the nose hair, and they feared if you plucked it out, you may have no protection. The nose hairs actually protect your body from inhaling something that may be big dust particles, maybe a big particle, maybe a fly or something, depending how big your nostrils are, that go up. So your nose hairs actually protect you. So the scholar said we dislike him to pluck it completely, all right? Pluck it completely, because then you lost that protection. Okay? All right. ولم يتكلم على المصنف على نتف الشيب من اللحية. Let's talk about now the beard. Back to the beard. What happens when it becomes white? Can some people do, as some people do, pluck it out? Okay? He says here, the Musannif, Ibn Abi Zayd, did not speak about this. So now he quotes, وَقَالَ مَالِكْ حِينَ سُئِلَ عَنْهُ. Imam Malik himself was asked about plucking the white hairs of the beard. الشيب من اللحية. وقال مالك كن حين سئل عنه لا أعلمه حراما وتركه أحب إلي. I don't know that it's haram to pluck the white hairs of the beard, but leaving it is better, is more beloved to me. Okay? أي إزالته مكروهة على الصواب. And he says now the correct answer is to remove the white hairs of the beard is discouraged. كما يكره تخفيف اللحية والشارب بالموسى تحسينا وتزيينا. In the same way that taking a blade, okay, and then going and designing the beard is makruh, right? Designing the beard. You almost lose your masculinity. You look like one of these types of, perhaps you're gay, right? You know these people who have literally a hair like, it's like designed. It's designed. So you're defeating the purpose of the beard. Okay, so in the same way that this long, excessive beard is disliked by Malik because it's shuhra and tashwih. Okay, it's now you become famous for this. It shows your brand, as so to speak, and it becomes ugly, tashwih. Right? It's not becoming. And number 3, mukhalif al-amal as-sahaba. Sahaba used to hold and cut. And the same thing around the edges. Okay? So likewise, the opposite extreme. There's ifrat and tafrit. In everything, there's ifrat and tafrit. You got to know the two extremes. And you avoid those, you stay in the middle. That's one extreme. The other extreme is the guy, yeah, he has a beard, but this thing is a work of art. He made his face a tapestry for some barber to take a blade and make a design on his face. So it looks so designed. All right? So that's makruh too. Okay. So he says here that using the blade to do that is makruh. Which means that as long as you have, so it's the blade element that makes it makruh. If it's just trimming it, this permitted. If it's as long as it fits the mu'tads of the beard. وإن قصد بذلك التلبيس على النساء كان أشد في النهي. If a man now does anything to try to what did Othman call it? Art. What is it at the bottom say? Art project. Yeah, it made his face an art project, basically. If a man tries to fool women, prospective women, back in the day, people may not have had a concept of birthdays and say, I'm 40 years old, I'm 50 years old. They didn't have that back in the day. You knew a person's age just by looking at him. All right, he's in that phase of life. So if a man now dyes his beard, removes the white hairs, all that, and makes himself out to be younger than he is, then he's fooling a prospective wife with that. That is, at that point, more makruh. Ashaddu fi nahi. All right? And is actually forbidden. The element of fooling somebody, ghish, is forbidden. ليس منا من غشنا فليس منا, the Prophet said. Prophet, peace be upon him, said someone who tries to delude us or to fool us is not one of us. Fooling us in what? In a contract, in an investment. Okay? you fool someone. Oh, he's so young and mashallah, he's got amazing hair. So I'll marry him. And all of a sudden she realizes he's wearing a wig. And his beard has dyed. He dyes it every week. So the fooling element. Now, if he marries her, if they get married and without tricking her, and then he was to dye his hair and beard, and she's not fooled. She knows the reality of things. That's different. Okay? Then the prohibition is not the same at that point. It's not prohibited at all. Okay. لما فرغ من الكلام على إزالة الشعر, when he now Ibn Abi Zayd is done talking about removing hair throughout the body, شرع في بيان تغيير لونه. Now he begins to talk about changing the color. Okay. You know what? I'm going to answer questions from now on, reading directly from the Nas. This is what I summarize, but it's just may have been misconstrued in some way, shape, and form, right? So rather than answering questions off the cuff from memory, right, and give you the direct sources right away, better for me and you. And by the way, we have a great website called Maliki Fiqh QA. There's a great website out there that we Malikiya have answers on, and I'd like to actually start answering questions from there every week. Every week, new question. Let's take one of them. Let's just take one of them. Does touching the opposite gender break wudu in Maliki Fiqh? Here's a question. Okay. In the name of Allah, most merciful. If one touches the opposite gender in Maliki Fiqh, we're talking, of course, women that you possibly could marry, non-Mahram. Exclude from this your wife, exclude from this your mom, etc. Okay. No, sorry, don't exclude your wife. Exclude your moms and your mom and your daughter. Okay, those women above you and beneath you in lineage. If you touch a woman from the opposite gender, from whom you would normally find sexual pleasure, intending pleasure or finding it, then it breaks your wudu. Whether you intend it or you find it, breaks your wudu. If you touch someone of the opposite gender, but they are not normally taken pleasure from, like a female mahram of yours, your sister, your daughter, there's no wudu from that. Touch your daughter's hand, no wudu. Touch your mom, no wudu. Your grandma, no wudu. Okay? Touch, even if sinfully, but there would not be someone who normally take pleasure from, like a very old lady or something like that. Okay. If you touch the opposite gender from a woman, such as your wife or a non-related woman, okay, then your wudu is broken in 4 scenarios. 1, you touched her intending pleasure and you found pleasure. Wudu is broken. You touched her intending pleasure, but you did not find pleasure. Still wudu is broken. You touched her without intending pleasure, but accidentally found pleasure. Your wudu is broken. You touched her without intending pleasure and did not find pleasure. Wudu is not broken. Okay? So wudu is broken if pleasure is intended or derived or both. Okay? What is meant by sexual pleasure? It is hard to define, but one can approximate it to be an internal excitement. Okay? And it makes your heart beat a little faster. And what is meant by touching? Okay? It does include this hair. Yes, it does include the hair. Nails. Even if it were covered by a barrier. So you touched, for example, your wife in such a way with her clothes on, intending pleasure or having it derived or both. That's touching. So you have to make wudu from that. You all got that? Okay. That is your fiqh lesson for the day. And the beard one will be typed up and included, again, from Qadi Iyad and Nafrawi. Nafrawi on Ar-Risala. Now, what is our business today? We have business. We have campuses absolutely on fire. Okay? Campuses are absolutely on fire today. What's happening? Let me explain to you exactly what's going on. Okay? The main character of this movie, her name is Minouche Shafiq. She is former LSE economist, now Columbia professor. And like other professors, before all this, she was talking a great game regarding freedom of speech. Then October 7th happened, and then the protests happened, and students started to say from the river to the sea, And like all other Ivy League campus presidents, Ivy League school presidents, Maliki Fiqh was called for a congressional hearing. What is a congressional hearing, first of all? What is a congressional hearing? Congressional hearing essentially is nothing other than that Congress would like to have a word with you, and they will make a decision about you, and that decision is just their statement about it. It has nothing actually to do with any actionable items. There's nothing actionable in it at all, right? It's usually a public spectacle. They're showing their donors their position and how strong they are, and they're showing their constituency what they care about, okay? And that's what a congressional hearing is. No one ever has to attend. Believe it or not, you actually don't have to attend a congressional hearing, okay? No one has to attend a congressional hearing. But anyway, so Harvard, she went, attended a congressional hearing, was a disaster, unmitigated disaster. UPenn, she's out. So many of these Ivy League schools, their professors went in to the congressional hearing. It was a spectacle. It was a disaster, and they're out. Okay. So finally, okay, Columbia University's president showed up to the congressional hearing, and essentially what she did was sold her soul to these people. And the other cast of character that you need to know is, her name is Elise Stefanik. Elise Stefanik is a congresswoman from New York, Republican congresswoman from New York, who's leading the charge against these Ivy League professors. She's, I guess, the head of this. This is her claim to fame now, is that she's the one grilling all these professors, and she grills them, basically ensuring that they say, she wants to make sure that they say that how against anti-Semitism they are, that they're punishing students for saying the words from the river to the sea, just saying it, forget what you mean by it, right? From the river to the sea, what? Palestinians will be able to live happily? What's wrong with that? From the river to the sea. Didn't say anything about Jews. Saying about Israelis. But anyway, they've taken it as just that statement needs to be prosecuted or punished, I should say. Okay. So she went in there and she told them basically everything they want to hear, right? She really tried to please them as much as possible. When she got back to her, not only that, she actually named professors and faculty that she plans to discipline. Could you believe that? That will be under investigation. She named them. Can you believe that is private business? How's that guy isn't his career gonna be affected? And that was something that really, really bothered the professors there. So what ended up happening is she gets back to her campus, and lo and behold, there was plans scheduled all across the nation. Sit-ins, anti-genocide, divestment sit-ins, BDS, divest from Israel, Rutgers University, right here. We can see it. You step out of our soup kitchen, you look up, there's a building going up to Tel Aviv University. If I'm not mistaken, that's what it is, Tel Aviv University. That's the deal that Rutgers has. Rutgers University has this. Rutgers University students, they voted to divest. And that vote, what does that vote have to, what's the action of that? It forces the board of governors of the university to consider it. That's it. It's symbolic more than anything else. Okay. So the protesters then, she's now rushing to please, the Zionists, the Israel lobby. Her testimony in Congress wasn't enough. She also came back to Columbia to find billboards on trucks driving around saying Maliki Fiqh has got to go. Saying Maliki Fiqh, get ready to leave, we'll help you move, on a moving truck. Okay, you know that this is a way to do billboards right now. You put it on a truck, really big image, and you just drive around with it. You stop every once in a while. Everyone reads the truck, right? So despite all of what she did in Congress, bending over backwards to try to please them, Nope, not enough. Not enough. The Jewish students want her out. Okay. Now she really wants to prove herself. She really needs to prove herself now by cracking down on this protest. So what did she do? She ordered the NYPD to go and clear the protest. So she's in charge of the campus. She has the right to remove anyone she wants, technically. So they get there, and what does the NYPD see? A bunch of kids singing. A bunch of kids sitting down. A bunch of kids chanting, holding posters. It's a sit-in. So he calls up, and he says, are you sure this is it? Because they're not doing anything unlawful here. She said, yeah, clear it all out. So they all get arrested. They have no clue what's going on. They get arrested. And they get booked. And of course, they get booked, and that's it. There's nothing else to do with them, so let the NYPD let them go. By that time, it's 11 p.m., midnight, almost midnight. She goes out. They go home to their dorms. Key card's not working. What happened? Hey, you didn't hear? You guys are suspended. Can't come to the campus for one day. So they're homeless. Where are they going to sleep, these kids? They're going to sue the university so badly. Okay? They're going to sue this school so badly. Now things are out of control. So what does she do? She's lost control of the situation. She makes school virtual the next day. So she announces tomorrow all classes are going to be online, because if classes are online, no one's walking around the campus. If no one's walking around the campus, then there's no audience for the sit-in. Okay, the purpose of the sit-in is to gather attention for people who are walking around. So if nobody's walking around, then there's no, point in the sit-in. That's the logic there. Okay. That's the logic behind that. So she made school virtual. Well, she made school virtual for one day. The day after that, all the Ivy Leagues got together after this. And they said, maybe even more campuses beyond the Ivy Leagues. Okay. All returning to the lawns, whatever central lawn that they have, and doing another sit-in. And today it's bigger than ever across universities. Who are the characters here? They're there for now different things. Some now are there for academic freedom. Some are there for freedom of speech. Some are there for Palestine. Okay. And Palestine, of course, we know that there are different reasons for different causes. Some are the anti-colonial element of things. Some are the genocide element of things. Everyone's got their own angle, but they're all there for the same cause, right? Protesters at Columbia, let's read a little bit here. They spent days protesting against Israel's war with Hamas, forcing authorities to arrest more than 100 of the agitators. And the school's president has shifted all classes virtual learning on Monday amid safety concerns. What is the other side taking? The other side's taking the approach and is putting videos out that Jewish students are no longer safe. And Shafiq has got to go because she can't keep Jewish students safe. And Jewish students are coming onto their laptops on Zoom and they're saying, we don't feel safe. We feel threatened. Or we don't feel welcome. Okay? Because obviously Judaism and Israel is now conflated into one thing. This is the problem, right? You've conflated your religion with a political entity. Political entities always have to do bad things, right? Not smart to conflate. Right? There's like major exceptions. Like the Rashidun, Khilaf Rashida, maybe, right? Moments of the Ottoman Empire, not even the whole thing. Moments of the Abbasid Khilafah, not even the whole thing. Moments of the Murabitun. The Murabitun, where you see these Tuareg pictures. The Tuareg wearing beautiful blue turbans with blue wraps around their face. Right, from the sand and the dust, and it's become their clothing now. Those were the marabouts. Those were people who saved Andalus. Andalus very early on was going to fall. They saved it, of course, by the permission of Allah. So, moments you could say yes that they represent our religion, but other than that, a political entity, they make mistakes, right? They do bad things. Nonetheless, they've conflated themselves. Right, the religion and Israel is one and the same. You criticize Israel, it's anti-Semitic, essentially is what they're saying. All right. So the Republican Congress folks in New York, anyone who needs to, please this lobby, is now essentially making it out that Jewish students can't even walk safely around, as if someone's like hunting them down. So my question to you is, can you name me one act of violence done to a Jewish student? And these protests always have in it counter-protesters taking the protest to an extreme. So the students are saying, we don't even know some of these people. They're not students. They're coming wearing a keffiyeh like this, putting it over their face so they could be identities veiled, and saying the most extreme things. He's a mole. He's a plant. And sometimes it's a she. Woman comes in. I saw a video myself. Woman comes in. She covers her face with a keffiyeh or with a black mask or whatever. And she said, we're with Hamas. Who says this? What Columbia student says this, you fools? It's a plant. It's obvious, right? It's a plant. Columbia University President Ni'amat Minouche Shafiq mostly closed the campus and urged commuting students not to travel to the campus in a statement posted just after 1 a.m. on Monday. How sloppy is this? You're telling everyone that classes are canceled at 1 a.m., all right? Scrambling to save herself. In the statement, the president said she was deeply saddened by certain actions of the agitators who have formed an encampment on the campus, quote unquote, and have riled students and faculties with anti-Jewish slogans and chants. So what are we going to do here? Let's misrepresent, okay, the whole thing. All right? Let's misrepresent the whole thing. All right? And ignore everything else and just focus on this one possible, which is likely to be moles and plants. Not moles, but plants is a better word. The statement is the latest action from the school's administration amid the fiery protests in and around the New York City campus that began Wednesday. So if you all know New York, Manhattan, what it's like, of course, New York City we got a lot of Australians and British people. We got to explain to them what we're talking about. New York is a big state. New York City is a city within the state. New York City consists of 5. You can't draw New York City. It's these 5 boroughs. Okay. Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, and Staten Island? I know one of them doesn't really belong. But I think it's Staten Island, right? I don't even know why it should be part of New Jersey. And it's part of New York City. Staten Island, right?
Yeah, I was by the
Yeah, Staten Island shouldn't really be part of New York, in my opinion, ask me. But in any event, doesn't make a difference. Manhattan is an island. This little island, strip like this, okay? And Lower Manhattan, that's where the World Trade Center is, and that's where City Hall is. Lower Manhattan. You take something called the Holland Tunnel to get there from Jersey. And it's right across from Jersey City. That is a very quiet area at night because it's just a place where this government is run of the city. And it's where Wall Street is. Wall Street is in Lower Manhattan. So after 5, 6 p.m., Lower Manhattan becomes very quiet. Then you get to the fun part of Manhattan, which is you pass Soho and certain hip areas, but then you hit Midtown. Midtown Manhattan is where Times Square is. It's where Madison Square Garden is. Okay, where the Knicks and Rangers play, and it's Madison Square Garden. It's the biggest, the most famous arena in the world, Madison Square Garden. The world's most famous arena. Yeah, that's the tagline there. And that's where really when people go to New York, they go to Midtown. And that's, we're talking the numbers. Manhattan is divided up in numbers this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's downtown. That's Lower Manhattan. But Midtown, you really hit 30s upwards. Okay. Then once you hit 50th Street, now you're hitting the higher part of Manhattan. You hit Central Park. Central Park is gorgeous, right? It's a big park. It has a skating rink, a pond, a zoo. Gorgeous, beautiful park. 10 times better than, what do they got in London? What's that park they got in London? Yes. Huh? What's it called? No, Speaker's Corner. Is that what it is? Times Central Park is 10 times prettier than that. Okay. Where is Speaker's Corner again? Man, I forgot. Hyde Park. Yeah, Hyde Park is nice. I can't deny Hyde Park is not nice, but it's nothing compared to Central Park, right? Hyde Park is nice, but not Central Park. So you get it. Then after that, you start hitting the big numbers, 80s, 70s, 90s. Okay. And then you hit the Bronx. Okay. So Columbia is way at the top. Columbia University is way at the top. NYU is way at the bottom. NYU is like between like around that. It's under Midtown. Okay. It's way at the bottom. Columbia is at the top. So that's your geography. Why don't you give them a map of Manhattan so they could see and get educated on the East Coast. You listen to our stream all the time. You got to know where we live and what's going on. Zoom it all out so they could see. Okay. What New York looks like. Welcome to New York. Okay. Huh? Yeah. Zoom it all out. Show them where we're at, and then we'll show them that while I talk. On Wednesday, dozens of protesters called on the university, last Wednesday, to divest itself from companies that have ties to Israel. What's the call? The call is divest yourself, stop paying companies, okay, with ties to Israel. Cut off relations with Tel Aviv University. The protesters then shouted anti-Semitic chants, allegedly, and slogans on Columbia's campus. That same day, the school's president, alongside co-chairs of the university's board of trustees, was testifying before Congress on anti-Semitism on campus. Okay? We will be at a point you can talk about the U.S., you can curse the U.S. all day, you cannot touch Israel. That's a summary of it. Okay, let's, can you even zoom out even more so they can see the shape of Jersey. All right, so here it is. Look at the shape. See that? That's Jersey right there. The red is where we're at right now. That long thing, that's Long Island. That's not what we're talking about here. But Manhattan is right there. New York, Manhattan is right there. All right, right there. That strip, that skinny little strip. Zoom in a little bit more now. There you go. See that skinny strip with the Empire State Building on it? That's Manhattan. It goes all the way up. And the Bronx, it goes into the Bronx. You see there where it says Yankee Stadium? That's where the Bronx is. Okay? So that's what it is. You got Lower Manhattan, Midtown, and then Upper West Side, Upper East Side. When you say East Side, West Side, that means Central Park is in the middle. Okay? That big green thing is Central Park. So you get a lesson. You got a lesson in fiqh. Now you get a lesson in geography. Okay? West Side, East Side is relative to the park, and that's where the nicest apartments live, and all the media moguls and lawyers and they all live there. Okay? Move up a little bit more, and let's see there. You got into Harlem, and Columbia is up even more, I believe. Does it say where Columbia is? Doesn't say. But Columbia is up there. It's up past Central Park at the top there. Yeah, it's somewhere up there. Maybe for some reason they didn't put it in the map. Okay. Now, what did they do this time around? They put tents. The presence of tents on the South Lawn is a safety concern and a violation of university policy. Okay. We are informing the students they are in violation of university policies and et cetera. They need to leave. Okay. Now it's even more packed than before, and they're resisting the police even more. Okay. According to the school's president, stopping the protests was more nuanced as they were attempting to walk a line of allowing students to exercise free speech. Let's take a look at The Guardian, what The Guardian has to say here on this. Tensions rise as 150 pro-Palestine protesters have been arrested between Yale and, between Yale University, okay, and other campuses. Okay. No, top Republicans, that's not what I want. Any people here have been on the Here's an article: protesting against slaughter is not anti-Semitism. Statement from the students themselves. Oh, that's a good picture. That one's nice. All right. By Robert Reich. Protesting against slaughter, as students in the U.S. are doing, is not anti-Semitism. And there are a number of Jewish professors who are supporting this. There are a number of Jewish professors who are here, who are talking and supporting this. Okay. The most important thing I teach, says Robert Reich, my students, is to seek out people who disagree with them. That's because the essence of learning is testing one's ideas, assumptions, and values. And what better place to test ideas, assumptions, and values than at a university? Would we agree with this? We would agree in matters of opinion. If a matter is a matter of opinion, then yeah, reach out to those who disagree with you and see what they say. You know what would be neat? If you made the Palestinian flag the background of the whole thumbnail. Try that. Let's see if that works out. Okay. That's because the essence of learning is testing one's ideas. Apparently, Columbia University's president, Minu Shafiq, does not share my view. Last week, she prostrated herself before House Republicans. That's true. She totally sold her soul, promising that she would discipline professors and students for protesting against the ongoing slaughter in Gaza, in which some 34,000 people have died, most of them women and children. The following day, she summoned the New York Police Department to arrest more than 100 students who were engaging in peaceful protest. Can we be clear about a few things? Protesting against slaughter is not anti-Semitism. It is not engaging in hate speech. It is not endangering Jewish students. It is doing what should be done on a college campus, taking a stand against perceived wrong, thereby provoking discussion and debate. Education is all about provocation. Without being provoked, stirred, unsettled, goaded, young minds can remain stuck on old tracks. The Israel-Hamas war is horrifying. The atrocities committed by both sides illustrate the capacities of human beings for inhumanity and show the vile consequences of hate. For these reasons, it presents an opportunity for students to re-examine their preconceptions and learn from one another. If Columbia or any other university now roiled by student protests were doing what it should be doing, it would be a hotbed of debate about the war. Disagreement would be welcome, demonstrations accepted, arguments invited, and differences examined. The mission of a university is to coach students in how to learn, not tell them what to think. It is to invite debate, not suppress it. Truth is a process and method, more verb than noun. I love when my students take issue with something that I or another student has said, starting with "I disagree," and then explaining why. Disagreeing is not being disagreeable. This is actually important because, and you see this in fiqh all the time, students, friends, even with their shiyukh, they say, "I disagree with you on this," right? But there's nothing disagreeable because we know that this is a matter of opinion. It's ra'i. I'mal ra'i is happening here. Using opinion, seeing which evidence is stronger, etc., etc. Okay? And you see people changing their opinion all the time. All right? Because there are things that are qat'i and things that are dhanni. There are things that are there's no room for disagreement about. In our adi world, in our world that we live in, there's no room for disagreement about it. Disagreement about it is frankly insanity. If you disagree that something that we all see every single day, that the sun rises from the east, that's frankly insanity. It's not, we can't do this. If you disagree that you exist, then you've negated your own debate because anything that you say thereafter won't count because you don't exist. If you doubt your own existence, you doubt your argument because your argument is based on your existence. In logic, there are certain things that are daruri. They're not nadari. They're not up for discussion, such as that the part is smaller than the whole. In any situation, one slice of pizza is smaller than the whole pie, the same pizza. Non-negotiables. Well, likewise, in transmitted knowledge, there are non-negotiables. There's a non-negotiable that World War II happens. We cannot have a discussion if we doubt. Imagine we having a historical discussion if we actually doubt that the Holocaust happens. Imagine having a historical discussion if you doubt that the British had once colonized the United States. In language, there are non-negotiables. There's non-negotiable that the cat refers to a small feline, usually domesticated. Okay? We're going to go crazy now if we now say these words don't even count or are in doubt. Us as Muslims, we accept the Prophet ﷺ and the Quran. Therefore, their content, that which is explicit in it, is not negotiable. That which is up for discussion in it, what it means, it may have three different meanings. We can discuss those, but not exiting their meaning. That's where we have schools of thought. So that's the understanding of how there are matters that are up for debate, and we should be open to that. And you should never, your heart shouldn't disagree with somebody who has a different opinion, provided it is a matter of opinion. Okay? So I like this. Disagreeing is not being disagreeable. Disagreement engenders thought and discussion. It challenges students to reconsider their positions and investigate more deeply. Which is why universities should encourage and protect unpopular views. It's why unpopular speakers should be invited and welcomed to campus. It's also why students should not be shielded from what are often carelessly termed microaggressions. To be riled up is to be attentive, open to new ideas. And why peaceful demonstrations should be encouraged and not shut down. It is never appropriate to call in armed police and to arrest peaceful student demonstrators. See, he's an academic and cares about the integrity of the university. These presidents have financial considerations to make, and that's why they have to please the Israel lobby. Simple as that. One professor, I can't say who it is, one president said it in a meeting to other students, can't say who it is, right? But he said it. I got financial considerations to make. That's why I make these decisions. Okay. Finally, this is why universities should go out of their way to tolerate expression that may make some people uncomfortable. To tar all offensive speech, hate speech, and ban it removes a central pillar of education. Of course, it's offensive. It is designed to offend. Okay. Keep in mind, he's speaking here within his worldview. We would have similar ideas, but we have a different worldview. There is a limit, of course. Okay. Expression that targets specific students, doxing, and otherwise hurting them, doesn't invite learning. It's a form of intimidation. It should not be allowed. So even he has limits, right? He has limits. I have limits. You may have limits. Okay. I'm old enough and I've been a professor long enough to have seen campuses explode in rage at bigots like George Wallace when he ran for president, at the horrors of the Vietnam War, at university investments in South Africa, and at efforts to prevent free speech. Some of these protests were loud. Some caused inconvenience. Some protesters took over university buildings, but most were nonviolent, nor did they seek to harm or intimidate individual students. Whenever university presidents have brought in the police and students have been arrested and suspended, all learning stops. Which brings me to the central role of university faculties in protecting free expression on campus. That role is especially critical now when the jobs of university presidents and trustees have degenerated mainly into fundraising. Amazing. Funds, that's all they have to worry about. Often from wealthy alumni who have their own myopic views about what sort of free speech should be allowed and what should be barred. The faculty of Columbia has every right, and in my view, a duty to protect peaceful, free expression at Columbia with a vote of no confidence in Shafiq's leadership and seek to have her presidency terminated. Okay, so Shafiq said classes are going online because we need a reset, right? Somebody replied back, the reset starts at the top, okay, with your own resignation. So the faculty is angry with Shafiq and wants her to resign because she curtailed free speech. The politicians are angry with Shafiq because they need to prove to their donors and there is the lobby that they plead that they need to please that they're attacking anyone who sides with these protests. Okay. And the Jewish students and that lobby is angry with Shafiq because it's not enough. She hasn't shown enough care, right? And she hasn't cracked down hard enough on the protesters. So she's getting it from all angles, but without sympathy because she put herself in this. The faculties of Yale and NYU and other campuses are now engulfed in protests about what is occurring in Gaza. They should do everything in their power to use the resulting provocations, inconveniences, and discomforts as occasions for learning rather than repression. Who is Robert Reich? Former U.S. Secretary of Labor, professor of public policy at UC Berkeley. I mean, this is the most progressive guy you're going to find. Public policy at UC Berkeley. And he's the author of Saving Capitalism for the Many, Not the Few. He's author of The Common Good. And his newest book, The System, Who Rigged It, How to Fix It, is now out. And he has robertreich.substack.com. Okay? So, let's see what's the latest on campus protest, because this thing is updating by the minute. Colleges rocked by unrest. Dozens arrested at NYU. University of Minnesota arrested 9 pro-Palestinian folks. Students. New York Times says student protest movement could cause a tumultuous end to the school year. Let's talk about the commencement speech. You heard about that news? Okay. The commencement speech, you know, the graduation essentially from university, the valedictorian always talks, right? She always talks. Well, USC had a Muslim valedictorian. Her name is Esna Tabassum. Okay. USC, University of Southern California. For those who don't know, there is no campus probably on the face of the earth more gorgeous than the campuses of LA, Southern California. One of them is UCLA. That's the state school. The private one is USC. Okay. Get us a map of, I love maps. Get us a map. I need to know where we're at, where we're looking at here. Get us a map of California with where USC is. Remember the debate last year that I did with, I don't even remember his name. Gawed. So that was at the UCLA campus. That part of LA is the most gorgeous place in the country, I would say. Whole country. In terms of every building is very well, kept. That part of LA. The only rival to it probably is going to be, in terms of beauty, is San Diego, which is even more south of that. So we want USC. Where is USC? Yeah, USC, University of Southern California. Because here we have a Muslima, Esnat Tabassum, senior from USC, major in biomedical engineering, and she's at the center of the latest firestorm on college campuses. Okay. Look at these palm. Are people seeing this? Yeah. Look at these palm trees. This is one of the most gorgeous. This is looks like a going to Alhambra. Looks like a Moroccan Adhan minaret there, right? So this is a private school. It's where all the Hollywood actors, when they have family and stuff, they send their kids here if the kids make it. Some families even go down to that one that looked like a Moroccan, that up one. Yeah, that one. That's how the minarets of Morocco used to be, just squares going up. So USC, even there was a Hollywood actress who paid and is probably serving some, she got probably serving some time now for that. So that's where we're all the way in New York, Jersey. This is Southern California now. Campus tensions over Israel's war on Gaza have flared up again, this time at the University of Southern California, which this week barred its valedictorian from speaking at next month's commencement ceremony. So the lobby has this much power that the untouchable tradition should be of the valedictorian, the student with the top GPA, speaking at the graduation. They're changing that. All right. So she's not talking at the commencement ceremony. The school cited potential campus safety risks if Esna Tabassum delivered a speech. Really? What safety is at stake here? Of course, it's all BS. The provost, Andrew Guzman, said in an email to students and staff on Monday that public discussion had taken an alarming tenor after the school announced its choice for valedictorian. Well, its choice for valedictorian, she earned it. Fair and square, the intensity of feelings fueled by both social media and the ongoing conflict in the Middle East has grown to include many voices outside of USC and has escalated to the point of creating substantial risks relating to security and disruption at commencement. Maybe I don't know things, but can someone name one Jewish student who was attacked as a result of this? One? Tabassum is a South Asian American biomedical engineering major who is Muslim and wears a hijab, says that she, along with other critics of the decision, believes the school canceled her speech because of her public support for the human rights of Palestinians. Pro-Israel USC student groups, including Trojans for Israel, Trojan is right, Chabad Jewish Student Center, had complained online about Tabassum's views, calling them anti-Semitic. The provost, the word is so overused, it's ridiculous, okay? The provost explained in the email that the decision has nothing to do with freedom of speech and made no mention of Tabassum's political views. His email did not state whether USC had already received specific threats of violence or disruption. Okay. So it would make sense if there was some kind of, gradation here. So if there's like one altercation, one student got bloodied, another bloody nose, a couple other people got beaten up, then you could say, oh, okay, it's going to get violent. But has there been any of that? Since Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel, campuses have been embroiled in controversy. Many colleges and university leaders struggle to make satisfactory public statements about the conflict and balance, okay, with speech protection. Harvard and UPenn presidents are out of a job as a result of this. Congressional hearings last Wednesday brought Columbia University's president before lawmakers to answer questions, and she botched that all up. So she's going to soon, she is feeling the heat. Okay. Pro-Israel groups are celebrating USC's decision. Okay. Listen, if it's truly that's what it was, and you have proof of it, remove her and put the salutatorian. There's no proof, that's why. Critics say that it undermines free speech, and it's a signal that universities are caving to pro-Israel pressures. These right-wingers are now such hypocrites because these right-wingers were the same ones who were against the cancel culture, the woke cancel culture, right? Woke cancel culture was the reason why, the right wings were attacking universities. Now they're the biggest proponents of it. So all this, right wing in America first stuff turns out all to be, all to have an end. It all stops where Israel begins. USC cannot hide its cowardly decision behind a disingenuous concern for security, says the director of Council on Foreign American Islamic Relations, CARE, in Los Angeles. The university can, should, and must ensure a safe environment for graduation, rather than canceling the valedictorian speech. Okay, student groups and outlets, including the LA Times and The Guardian, have defended Tabassum and condemned USC. USC chose its valedictorian, then silenced her. Tabassum would be the university's valedictorian based on her GPA, which topped 3.98, contributions to campus community, essay submission, performance in interviews. All right. She also minors in resistance to genocide. That's a minor now. Well, Israel's giving it so much material, so you could probably make it a major now. Studies about conflicts, including the war in Ukraine, genocide in Darfur, the Holocaust, was selected from more than 200 students who qualified. Okay, she was selected from 200 students, more than 200 students, and was slated to deliver the customary valedictorian speech on May 10th. Then she was notified she wouldn't be delivering the address. Critics began to speculate that USC was kowtowing to pro-Israel groups. You know what she should do? She should wear her USC outfit, right? Go and deliver it somewhere else and put it on YouTube for the whole world to see. More people will see it then than if she had given it USC because of this, okay? And she should do it on campus, in a public area on campus, and wait and see if they call the police on her and get her arrested. What a spectacle that would be. Live stream the whole thing. Live stream the whole thing. Okay, right then, right the end of the, right after the graduation, turn around, find an area, have a live stream camera going, have your friends and your family there, give the same speech that you were to give, live stream it all, and let's see if they're going to send someone to stop you and create a spectacle. The right-wing pro-Israel organization End Jew Hatred. Okay. I said it before. You have the right to assess my words and my body for committing crimes. As for what's in my heart, as for my political views, as for criticism of another foreign nation, that's got to be up for grabs. Or it's not up for grabs, I should say. It's not something that can be taken away from anybody. Ms. Tabassum's speech as valedictorian was anticipated to be harmful to Jewish students and even potentially agitate anti-Jewish activists. The USC campus group Trojan Horse wrote Tabassum openly traffics in anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist rhetoric. Tabassum told CNN she received hate and vitriol for including a link to the website freepalestine.card.co on her Instagram profile. The homepage of the website contains the image of a woman holding up a Palestinian flag and a peace sign rising above flames and smoke, and links to help visitors learn about what's happening in Palestine. USC Chabad House argued, this Jewish, Chabad is the Orthodox Jewish organization, argued that linked websites for abolishment of the state of Israel and called the words on the website anti-Semitic. Tabassum said in a statement that she believed there was a campaign of racist hate. Anti-Muslim, anti-Palestinian voices were prevented. Okay. I'm not surprised by those who attempt to propagate hate. I am surprised that my own university has abandoned me, Tabassum said, adding that the school denied her request for more information about their threat assessment. On and on and on. But what do you think of that idea? Don't even take your graduation gown off. As soon as the graduation's over, you have it planned. You're going to go to such an area, all your friends meet you there, or everyone meets you there, and you give the speech. Right then and there. Right? You don't have to have a bullhorn or a mic. Just give the speech right then and there. In front of everybody. YouTube it. Live stream it. Instagram stream. Whatever you want. And let's see if they're going to call the police. And if they do, what a spectacle that would be. What a spectacle. More people will listen to this speech now because of this than if she had just given it normally. Right? Crazy. Let's go to the Q&A for a little bit before we wrap up for the day. What's going on in the chat today? Today, why is that?
Just overall.
Any arguments and debates?
There's always something going on. Someone's asking, is soy sauce haram since there's alcohol from the fermentation process?
Soy sauce? I didn't hear anyone make it haram, but if rizq is predetermined, how to explain getting same salary every 2 weeks never seems to change? I don't understand that question.
It's predetermined that happens.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is that happens, Allah had determined that that's what's going to happen, and it's going to happen through the way it's going to happen too. Yeah, read me questions.
All right. Is it makruh to wear pants in salah?
For a woman?
You didn't specify.
For a man?
I guess for a man, right? Because it's a guy asking, so it looks like.
It's not, we can't say it's makruh if it's not tight. If it's tight, then it's makruh. If it's transparent, it's as if you're not wearing anything. It's also, believe it or not, the ulama said that they much prefer the libas al-salaf, which is a shirt that goes down to the knee, if possible, or a thobe completely. That's far preferable. Is it obligatory to be buried in a Muslim cemetery? Yes. Is it possible to break your fast by overindulging in istinja? I don't understand. You mean water went up? Are you talking about that? Water went from the back door?
That's the only thing you could really.
But yeah, I mean, if water's gonna get into your stomach through that, or your ma'ida.
Okay, someone has a question about movies.
Let's hear it.
In my mind for a few weeks. Is it permissible to watch the Dune films, considering they fictionalize our Islamic prophecy about the Mahdi and such?
I don't think it's explicitly that. They may have taken ideas from that, so I can't say that just. They do, or they call him that, the Islamic Mahdi.
They take Islamic terms.
Yeah.
So like lisan, they say ghaib, but it's
Ghaib. I see.
And then they talk about the Mahdi, like.
Yeah, I think that's more just borrowing or the same words. I don't think it's in the same way that there's not like there are Muslims in the show, in the movie, right? They're just using those words, huh?
Like it's very explicit. It's very clear that it's Muslim influence. Like it's like Arabs and like speaking Arabic.
Really?
Doing salah, having.
You're kidding.
Misbahas, yeah.
No way.
And like they're Sufis, yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you gotta look at it.
Wow.
Stuff, yeah. I'll show you some.
Ajib, I never knew this.
It's very explicit.
Is dhikr or mujahada more conducive to spiritual growth? What is mujahada? I assume you say from that anything that you strive and you put in effort and you like fasting in the summer, things like that. Amazing for spiritual growth. Dhikr is the best for spiritual growth. Nothing is greater than dhikr. Ulama say, "Dhikru manshurul wilaya." Dhikr is basically the pamphlet of wilaya. You want to be a wali? Like you get the pamphlet, item for sale at such and such a location. That's what they mean by manshur al-wilaya, where to go and pick something up or buy something. Say a dhikr is to wilaya as getting a pamphlet is to buying a product. Israeli-Australian organizing marathon in Morocco to collect money for injured Israeli soldiers. Ridiculous. What do you know about Allama Khadim Hussein Rizvi? Nothing but good things. A lot of good things. Khalil Birakal is coming. MashaAllah. Wonderful. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan. UCLA is in Westwood, which is in a super bougie area. USC is in South LA, says Lakes. Thank you very much for clarifying that. What else you got for me, Omar?
Instagram is dead today. Very slow.
How long does it take y'all to get to Manhattan? Yeah, 40 minutes on the train. 40 minutes on the train. $7 there, $7 on the way back. Osama Ahmed, he says, even Coptic Christians in Twitter are disowning her. Wow, because she's a Coptic Christian. Manouche Shafiq, which is, Manouche is Lebanese pastry, basically. What is the evidence of having a guide in the Quran and Sunnah or a peer? Very simple. Ar-Rahmanu fas'al bihi khabira. Ar-Rahman, ask an expert about him. Okay. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask people who know if you don't know. Okay. What did Sayyidina Musa say to Al-Khadr? Musa said, can I seek your permission to keep your suhbah? Right, to keep your company. What is it? Try to remember the ayah right off the top of my head without having to recite halfway through. Okay. Surah Al-Kahf. Towards the end where the ayah Sayyidina Musa took permission to keep the company of Sayyidina Al-Khadr. Will there be a podcast on the niqab? Nah, I'm tired of the niqab issue. Khalas, I gave my point. That's all I had to do is show that what I've said about the ruling of karahiyya is mu'tabar. I don't have to get to the final ruling, and there could only be one ruling in the madhab. I'm fine. Someone saying there's a ruling that's mandub. Qadi Iyad, who's going to say no to him, right? Some of the ulama say, we don't take his opinion in this or that. Dasuqi, Qadi Iyad, these are aqwal mu'tabara. These are massive scholars in the madhab. Okay? Someone wants to dismiss them, ahlan wa sahlan, that's up to them. But all that I had to do is show that it is qawlun mu'tabar, and that it is given fatwa by living scholars today who know the madhab better than anyone in the West. Okay? Many in English speaking. So that's the job is done. If anyone wants to come and now give a counter article, ahlan wa sahlan, go ahead. But how long are you going to keep talking about niqab? Enough already. Khalas, we gave the position. You want, and I'm basically saying I don't have to hold that it's the only position. Even the other position could be stronger. No problem. Right? Not married to the position emotionally or anything. So, that's enough.
Someone's asking, the stepfather obligated to pay for his stepchildren even if the real father is alive and able to provide, and more specifically, school fees?
If a man, first of all, when a woman remarries, if possible, her daughter custody goes to her mom. So the daughter would go live with her grandma and grandpa rather than with her mother and stepfather. Okay. In the chapters on Hadana, this is what the order is. So when a woman divorces from her husband, let's say she has a boy and she has a daughter. Okay. Upon the divorce, the daughter will stay with the mother until she gets married, until the daughter gets married, until her own marriage, the girl's marriage. Except in the case where the mother remarries, that her daughter should now transfer to her mom. Okay, so daughter goes to grandma. If mom remarries, why is that? Because the Sharia does not want the girl living with a stepdad. He's not the one who's going to care most for her. And then the girl may not take it well when the dad has to lay down the law. That stepdad, that's his house now, right? And he's got to lay down the law. And there may be other things. That stepdad may have a stepson. Even worse at that point. Even more of a problem. But the hukum, shari, that we find in the chapters on Hadana states that upon remarriage, daughter transfers to maternal grandma. Son will either way, as soon as he reaches a mature age, he shifts to his dad in the first place. So it's not going to be much of an issue for the son. Okay. That's the ruling in the beginning. Now, if this is not possible, then you do what you can. So now, let's say in your situation, it's not possible, hypothetically, and that you do have your daughter, and you have your husband, who is her stepfather. Now, what was the question after all that? Who pays? Okay. Her dad should send a check over for her food, her clothes, her education, the roof over her head. If he doesn't do that, then the stepfather covers it. And it's a sadaqah for him. Okay. That's the answer to that. Saif-id-Din, he says, it's more about, not just about niqab, the discussion about the general methodology of fatawa in Maliki Fiqh. Yeah, we'll see what happens, inshallah. A person says, I want to be married but cannot find the right person. What do I do? I'm becoming very sad about this. Tough situation. Very tough situation, to be honest with you. But you got to keep at it and keep going to circles of people who have taqwa and stick with the dua. Don't ever give up on dua. Don't say, I tried and it didn't work, because the timing is with Allah. The same old stinks, the same things. Just keep at it. Sometimes the same thing, but you need to do it for 5 more years, 1 more year, 5 more days, 5 more weeks sometimes. It's the same stuff. It's the same concept. Just sabr, innama sabru bit tasabbur. The Prophet ﷺ said patience is by making yourself patient, forcing yourself to be patient. Sabru bit tasabbur. Okay. Just keep doing the same things. Ad-du'a, at-taqwa, sadaqah. But physically, go out. Have your relative, physically meaning be part of circles with other Muslim sisters. One of them may have a brother, right? Be part of classes. Then you get to know the wider circle of women in the community. Maybe someone will know someone for you. Okay.
A lot of confidence too. I think a lot of these guys, like, they get so down about it.
Yeah.
They lose all confidence and, like,
yeah,
it's not very manly, like, to.
Yeah, on the guy's side, if he starts losing confidence, it's a problem. Hafsa Salim says, will y'all be updating your podcast on Apple and Spotify? It's got to be updated. Hey, can you shoot Ahmad a message for that, please?
I don't have access to it. I'll do it.
Yeah. Okay. Some good questions coming here. Why some Maliki Imams recite Basmala out loud in Salah? Well, they shouldn't, but perhaps maybe they're an Imam of a Shafi'i-dominated masjid and community, so they have to do things in that manner. Could be the policy of the masjid. Allah knows best. If a man marries a woman who already has daughters, a man marries a woman, she has daughters. What is the ruling between that man and his stepdaughters? Mahram. Mahram. When, though? When? Upon consummation. The moment that man and that woman enter into a room, into any space, it could be a huge empty field, any space in which they can be intimate, then the mother, then the new husband, stepdad, and stepdaughter are mahram to one another. He can never ever marry her. He can see her without hijab. He can hold her hand, give her a hug, drive in the car alone with her, be in the house alone with her. In that respect, she's like a daughter to him. Same rule as the stepmom, right? When you marry a woman, doesn't your stepmother become to you a mahram? She could take her hijab off. You can hug her. You could be alone with her. So when you marry a woman, all of her women above her, her mother, her grandmother, her great-grandmother, and all of her women below her. If you marry a woman and she has a daughter or she has a granddaughter, all of them become haram for you, mahram. Okay. What happens if the stepfather then divorces from that woman? She's still a mahram, but she should cover in front of him. Okay. He can never ever marry her, that daughter. And that doesn't matter whether the biological father's still alive or not. How do you join prayers and shorten them? From postcode to postcode, it's 36 miles. I do wudu and salah Hanafi way, but I need help to combine. How do you combine your prayers? When you're traveling, you provided that the times where, let's say, Dhuhr hasn't come in yet. If Dhuhr comes in and you're at home, you owe Dhuhr in 4 on time. But let's say you leave at 9 a.m. and traveling all the way until Maghrib. Any time between Dhuhr and Asr, you may pray, you call the Iqamah, pray 2 rakahs, get up, call the Iqamah, pray 2 rakahs. That's Dhuhr and Asr combined. That's how you combine.
Is it Hanafi?
No, not Hanafi.
No, he's saying that.
He's saying he's Hanafi, but he wants to combine anyway. Omar will tell you how to combine as a Hanafi because you can't.
There's no combining in the Hanafi school.
Yeah.
There's no combining prayers except for Muzdalifah and Arafah in the Hanafi school.
Yeah.
So you can shorten your prayers. It's wajib to shorten your prayers after a certain distance. And you can find articles online about this. But if you're a Hanafi, there's no combining prayers.
Yeah.
In one time.
007 says it is recommended to hide your sins as a sinner. Talking with people about halal and religious topics feel like munafiq, hypocrisy. What should I do? No, you are not. It's not hypocrisy that you feel. It's incompleteness. You feel bad because you're incomplete. Okay? You try to fight your sins as much as you can, and you hide them. And you try to do good in the society and the world as much as you can. And then you work on your sins. Okay? It's not hypocrisy that you feel inside of you. It is a type of cognitive dissonance and incompleteness. I'm incomplete. So you need to complete yourself. And that's what an-nafs al-lawwama is. I'm saying all these good words, but I'm blaming myself because I sometimes fall into sins. Keep fighting. You're not alone. The whole world is fighting sins these days. Muhammad, I'm not answering that question. I don't want to be chainsawed. Yeah.
What's a good book for non-Malikis to have a quick go-to resource for the relied upon ruling Maliki Madhab?
In the English language?
It doesn't really work like that. So yeah, I mean, he's saying for non-Malikis to go to like a quick.
We don't have encyclopedic work in the English language like Reliance of the Traveler, unfortunately. We don't have one.
But even like saying the relied upon ruling, like you don't go to a book to find out. You have to go to a scholar.
Yeah.
Right? For any madhab, you don't just open a book. This is the mu'tamad.
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, Khalil, in our madhab, Khalil has near to 1 million, maybe 700,000 masail, like a lot of masail, in which he gives the mufta bihi opinion. And the word al-fatwa, in the terminology of the madhabs, means the ruling that we give the fatwa by. Okay? Al-fatwa fil indana, or al-fatwa fil madhab, or whatever.
But fiqh is not that simple, you know. Like, you can't just open a book like, okay, this is khuduri, now this is the ruling.
Yeah.
Like, things change. Like, fiqh is something that evolves. You have to go to a sheikh that knows the method.
There are conditions, there are things like that. I want to say something else too. You know that servant of the Most High says, when are you going to do a Safina Society matrimonial event? We've never done a matrimonial event, but I'll tell you what, we will be launching, inshallah, as a soft launch, bi'idhnillah, in June, a premarital courses, post-marriage tune-up, meaning husband and wife, they get along, but you need a tune-up, you need a reminder. And marriage coaching. When people are in a disagreement, they need to be coached out of their disagreements. That's coming soon in a separate organization that'll be very professional, very well done, with trained, vetted coaches and counselors running it. Okay. Can I come to Jersey? Come to Jersey anytime you want. Salman, son of Muhammad. Muhammad bin Salman or Salman, son of Muhammad. Come to Jersey. Yep. And we're here. Most times we have a walk-in policy until it gets crazy. Then we won't. But right now, anyone could walk in. Feel free. You'll never miss us. Just put Robert Wood Johnson Medical Center, University Hospital, Somerset Street. Keep walking. You'll see it right away. And when you see the house, you'll be like, wow, something's different about that house. That's us.
This one's funny. But
Yeah.
CD, you are habaib. Why aren't you Shafi like your sheikh?
Oh, subhanAllah. Yeah, I took on the Maliki School before I learned about even habaib. Check this out. Also, anyone who wants to come to Jersey, I mean, just pop in the masjid. There's stuff going on all the time. You just ask around. All the youth are there. All the students of knowledge are there. Can we Muslims follow instincts, says Mimatu. Mimatu says, can you just follow my instincts? I find my heart telling me to do something because it seems to be good in my heart. Is this okay or is it superstition? And the answer is yes and no. When is it no and when is it yes? The answer that is no is in matters of where there is a ruling in the Sharia. That's number one. So instead of asking your heart first and your instinct first, ask that which will not make a mistake, because hearts and instincts can make mistakes. Feeling good, feeling comfortable, feeling right is not a methodology, because that sometimes could be wrong or it could be harmful to you. So the first thing you do is you seek out, what does the Sharia say about this? That's number one. Number two, you don't go by instincts, feelings in matters of investment, such as a husband, a wife, a home, a job, a move, a roommate. All of that stuff, you must, okay, do istishara and istikhara. Istihbaban, as a recommendation. Highly recommended for you to ask experts. This is a person I want to marry. You need to ask people who have dealt with this person. You need to have your wali check his credit score. Make sure that he can rent. Let's see if he has an income that he could pay for this livelihood. Okay? You can't just go with your gut. You'll end up losing. You'll end up making big blunders in life if you go by instincts. Now, what can you go instincts by? You can follow your instincts and your gut instincts on between two halal options in which there will be no possible loss or very minimal loss. Okay? My gut instinct says, you know what? Let's go to Florida for this vacation. There's no loss, no gain, no loss, no foul. Right? My gut instinct says, today, as long as there was no investment lost, investment of your time, your life, your wealth and your life. Can you imagine your stockbroker when he says, hey, what are you doing with my money? Oh, I'm investing in this new company in Australia. Why? Oh, because my gut instinct says it's going to be really good. No, I don't want someone with gut instincts. I want someone who reads the papers, right? And studies. We don't do that type of thing. Here's another question, very similar. Is there such thing as a leap of faith in Islam? Iman, faith in Islam, is faith based upon investigation. Faith based on knowledge. There's no leap of faith into some contradictory belief system. No. We have faith based on knowledge. Okay?
It makes me, there's one thing, like, it's an issue, I think. It makes me very sad, actually, that there are a lot of, unfortunately, like, preachers or, du'at, that they don't really know about the intellectual tradition that we have.
Yeah.
So, like, whenever I hear them, and, like, you hear them talk about, like, Islam and faith and stuff, they'll always say, yeah, you just have to believe, right? But you don't need a reason. You just, like, there's no intellectual stuff. You just believe.
That's Christianity.
Blind faith. And it's, like, it's such a dangerous thing, and it's so sad because a lot of the youth, they don't buy into it. But they just like have like a cognitive dissonance. Yep. Of like, I'll just listen to what they're saying.
Allah says, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ? Do you not use your aql? How do I use my aql, my Lord? Does not Allah say, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ? Okay, my Lord, I'm going to use my aql. How do I use my aql? You study mantiq first. Right? You study the rules of thinking. The rules of making sure your ideas are not contradictory. Okay, so we are a people of thinking. We are a people of examination. We're not a people of blind following. What can I ever blind follow about? A minor issue, furu' of fiqh, that I don't have time to study. I say, Sheikh, can I make wudu on tayammum on this rock? He says, yes. Do I know the evidence? No, but it's okay. I don't have time to figure out that evidence. Someone knows the evidence. Can I say, hey, Sheikh, belief in Allah, can I just make taqleed? No, that you have to be fully certain. Belief in Allah, belief in the Prophet, that's on you. You can't just blind follow. Why do you believe in the Prophet now? The shuyukh said so. Nah. You have to personally believe. You don't have to go and investigate and have a research paper on the matter, but in your heart, you must know that this is the truth. Okay? And you need to investigate as much as you need to have iman. Some people, very small amount of investigation is enough. Others people, a lot more is enough.
I mean, back in the day, I guess like in Muslim countries, you could have gotten by with just like, basic, like, we'll just believe in Islam. Because the country was approved for you. Everyone's Muslim. You're not any like way to, leave Islam. But then like when you're in this society, you're a college student, you go to Rutgers University, you're constantly surrounded by kuffar. Like you need the satisfaction.
You need a lot more effort.
Telling you just believe in Islam. It's like, it's true. Well, you need to know why it's true because you're getting doubts from everywhere. Like,
yeah. When I did my PhD, I noticed a massive, massive gap in literature on dawah. So in the beginning of Islam, dawah was done by the Prophet and the Sahaba, right? Very quickly, within the Khilafah Rashida, you hardly ever hear about dawah. Why is that? Because the state is the greatest demonstration, right? The world becomes the demonstration when the leading entity in the world is the land of the Muslims. That is the dawah. Like you don't need to go and talk to someone, let's be convinced of Islam. Just look around you. They dominate everything, right? They're ruling. They're then in the Abbasid era, they became on the cutting edge of all the science and tech and knowledge and everything. Okay, so you didn't need much dawah. Then when all that collapsed and now it's in free fall, now we need dawah. Now we need to think. We need to examine. We need proofs. Okay. Here's another question. Why do some Muslims store breast milk and into powder even for future use for stepchildren? Is that misguidance? Says HR, Human Resources, and the answer is no. That is not misguidance. There is a concept in the Islamic sacred law called the milk relation. The milk relation, ar-rada'a, is that if a child takes even just one gulp of a woman's milk around or before the age of 2, then that child is the milk child of that woman, even if the breast milk is in powder in a bottle that has been saved for many years. Same thing. Frozen, for example, or made into powder, no problem. So that child becomes a milk child of that woman and takes the same relationship in terms of mahramiyah, okay, as if he was her biological child. The only thing that doesn't apply is the obligation of inheritance. He will not be an inheritor of her, but of course, most people give their stepchildren from the inheritance from the bequest. There is 1/3, the Prophet ﷺ said, 1/3 of your wealth, maximum 1/3, can go to a non-inheritor. So let's say I'm writing my will and my son is going to get 10,000, my daughter's going to get 5,000, and I have a stepson. What do I give him? I'm going to give him 10,000, but not as inheritance, but as bequest. Wasiyah. He's actually going to get it first, because when a person dies, his money is used to pay for his burial. Then number 2, debts. Number 3, bequests. Then the inheritance is distributed in fractions to the first part of the family. Then the children will get percentages of the remainder. Okay? That's how it works. So those ones saving breast milk for potential future stepchildren or adopted children, foster children, I should say, that's correct for them to do that. But keep in mind, it's at around the age of 2. So if the stepchild is 3, it's too late. It's too late. Okay. What is the solution for a man and woman who marry? Each one has a children of the opposite gender. Man has a son, woman has a daughter. And let's say they're in a situation in life and they marry one another. They can't live together like that. So they would have to basically keep living separately until one of the children graduates on in life. It happens before. It's not the customary marriage, but then again, they're not in a customary situation. He would live separately with his family. She would live down the street or across the street with her family, right? Because those two children will not be able to stay to be alone with each other after bulugh. Let's see this winter retreat. Guys, I've been saying Melbourne for weeks. They contacted me and said, shit, we're not in Melbourne. We're in Brisbane. I didn't even know Brisbane existed. Okay. But it's Brisbane. 2 nights, 3 days, all accommodations, all meals. Al-Hikam retreat. Beautiful poster here. Is that where we're actually going? Amazing. That is a gorgeous poster. Okay. That's a gorgeous poster. Al-Hikam retreat. That's where we will be headed. So 1 day flying into Australia, Sydney, then go from Sydney to Brisbane, then do the retreat, then take a day off, then fly back and arrive on the same day because you cross the opposite way across the date line. Okay, so it's interesting. You leave, let's say 9 a.m. The flight takes off at 9 a.m. You travel for seems like forever, and you land at like 3 p.m. same day. That's on the way back. On the way over, you go, you travel, and all of a sudden it's the next day on top of the days that you traveled. All right, student Reed says, if I marry a man, does my mother become his mahram upon consummation or upon nikah contract? Upon consummation. Upon consummation. Okay. It's upon consummation. Okay. You're making me want to double check it. Bab al-nikah here have aqrab. Make me want to double check this. Read me something, Omar.
Another question?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone's asking, my convert has been denied a writing or will. If my family dies altogether, us and kids, should we specify on the will that his non-Muslim family won't receive any heritage from us? So he's saying on the, what's the,
Who asked this question? Where is it?
It's a recent question.
Do women need to cover their feet in prayer? Yes, the top of the feet in Maliki Fiqh. So my convert husband and I are writing our will. Good. If my family dies altogether, us and kids, should we specify on the will that his non-Muslim family won't receive any inheritance from us? Well, you write in your will, you put in your will, if all of our family dies off and there are no inheritance, all of the money must go to such and such. And you put in it, there's no Beit al-Mal anymore, so you put in it a charitable organization. Because there's no Beit al-Mal, right? So what takes the Beit al-Mal? I was told that it is any charitable organization. And Allah knows best, but we can ask another faqih. And this question that the mahramiyya of the mother occurs upon consummation, I want to double check that too, but I'm pretty sure about that. Happens on consummation, not the contract. What's the ruling on chess in the Maliki School? Well, the Andalusians were a bit more lenient on it because they said it helps the student think, teaches thinking and long-term planning, or thinking ahead, I should say. But other than that, they forbade it. Other ulama in the madhab forbade shatarang. That's in the Izziyah, in the Sharh on the Izziyah, and it's in, let's see what Aqrab al-Masalik says about shatarang. We're going to find that in the chapters on Musabaqa. Read me something, Omar, while I look this up.
This one's a longer one.
Go ahead.
I'm saying I have a friend who struggles with addiction and he feels it helps him keep on track and accountable to be open about it with others. For example, when he has cravings or desires.
No. Don't do that.
He has not used in several months, so he's not openly talking about sinning, just his desire to sin. I told him to only talk about it with me or a few other trustworthy brothers because people in the masjid already abuse him due to his tattoos and loud demeanor. What do you think is the best course of action for him? Is it haram for him to divulge? What is the way? What is the way with the most adab?
Only one person who is trustworthy, who is perhaps even you could say almost a professional in this, but not anybody normally. No, you can't do that. Go except to somebody who is a professional in that. Okay, a professional. All right, 169. Read me another one.
Alright, someone's asking, Sheikh, my friend is getting doubts about Islam. He says he feels certain, then he goes in doubt, and then this happens on repeat for a long time. Is this OCD or is he a non-believer when he's in doubt?
Back and forth. I really don't know. I don't know the person. I can't say. But what he should do really is focus on the stories of the prophets and the meaning of the Quran, and that's what strengthens a person's iman.
Seems to be a spiritual, not an intellectual. From what it looks like, it's a spiritual problem he has.
Spiritual problem, but you need to pin yourself down with ideas, right?
Because he's going back and forth, so I don't, like, if it was intellectual, I would assume.
That's true.
Get your answer and you're good. Like.
Yeah, that's true.
Could be sins, maybe.
Yeah.
That are pushing back.
No mention of Shataranj here, but it's in the Izziyah. I just read it, actually, ironically, earlier this week, that it was deemed to be forbidden. But there's kalam on it. There's no doubt about that, because the Andalusians were more lenient on chess. Okay. And lahu, for no reason. That play that has no value, no reason, no lesson to be learned, has or no benefit to it is forbidden. That kind of waste of time. Okay. Buying a house in the West, says Sami Allah. There are these contracts. On the face of the contract is valid by Sharia according to their muftis that they have hired. So that's what everyone does. There's not much we have to say about it, to be honest with you. Hussein Kiani says, what if Allah shows you a sign that he will give you something, but you sin and time passes and you wonder if that sign is still valid? Make tawbah and believe it's valid. Allah doesn't play games like this, and just make tawbah. Make tawbah and believe that it is valid and that Allah will give it to you. Okay, but make tawbah and try to be good, because you can, if you're bad spiritually, if you're not doing well spiritually, you can receive it and not enjoy it. It'll be a source of trouble for you. You won't enjoy it. You'll ruin it. You'll waste it. But if your heart is strong and you're on top of your desires and you're in control of yourself, you'll receive it, enjoy it, benefit from it, and you won't suffer in your deen from it. Can we leap of faith into non-religious things? You can, if there is no value to be lost. Leap of faith in buying a house. No, makruh to do this. Discouraged to do this. Right? وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. It applies to religion. Don't do what you're not certain about. It applies to religion, but we could also say, commonsensically, it applies to life in general. Don't go marry somebody on a leap of faith. I've seen people do this. It's not right. Don't go buying a house on a leap of faith. Don't go, but you want to go on a leap of faith or to a different restaurant. All right, then the loss is very minimal there. Let's just try this restaurant without reading the reviews, as long as you know it's halal. Khalas, no problem. There's no loss there. Minimal loss, yani. Okay. So that you can leap of faith in marriage, in buying, in selling, in working, in hiring, in living with somebody, all that stuff, no. My friend is getting down. Oh, I read that one. Is composite bonding allowed? Look that up for me, Omar.
What did you say?
Composite bonding. And Is Maghazi of Musa bin Uqba the best seerah book? I can't say that.
Seems like some teeth and dental bonding.
Composite bonding, cosmetic procedure that uses a tooth-colored composite resin material to enhance your smile.
Repair chips.
Okay.
Or change the shape and color of the tooth.
Only to repair what is damaged.
It's reversible, apparently.
Mm.
I mean, I'm assuming this is what he's talking about. But
I can give you the general principle. We're allowed to do these cosmetic surgeries to repair damage, to repair something that has been lost. Braces, it's to repair the incorrect growth of the teeth. Okay? And we don't say, oh, this is qada Allah and qadar. No, Allah subhanahu. We ruined it with sugars. We ruined our teeth like this. Okay? Allah creates people with straight teeth and eyes that see and ears that hear. Okay? If you now have teeth are crooked or you can't see, we're allowed to correct these things. If you broke your nose, and Sahabi broke his nose, and he used to put a fake nose on, and then that didn't work, and then the Prophet permitted him to put a golden nose on. So he ended up looking better than he was before. No problem with that. Repairs. But cosmetics, for the sake of cosmetics, is forbidden. And it's going to be an issue because there's going to be cosmetic stores on every street corner someday. In every town, there'll be 5, 10. And it'll be probably, I bet you, very shortly. I would wager that very shortly, every girl will be going and getting her nose fixed at a certain in high school, right? Senior year of high school, what are you going to get? What your parents get me? They got me a nose job, $5,000, $15,000. How much is it? It's going to be $2,000 soon, right? Yeah, but it's forbidden for us unless there is a reason to do so. That would be changing the creation of Allah. If there is a reason, if there was a law, did Allah create you in a certain way and then you lost it? Or did Allah create everyone in a certain way, but you have this unique thing that is different from everybody else, like a big mole here? You can remove that. That's the general rule on cosmetic surgeries.
Dhahiri Madhab, permissible study with or without a teacher routine.
I mean, you could read their books, but you can't act upon it. Why? We only act upon madhahib that are alive. Why? Because if we don't know what's in the text and we think we know what's in the text, there's no one to check us. There's no one to say, no, I've been alive much longer than you and I've studied with 50 scholars of the madhab. You misunderstood. Okay? We follow, and the brother here, who was it that was talking about? No, who was it that was suggesting about a discussion on methodology and fatwa? I was just talking to my fiqh teacher today, Sheikh Mahmoud, and saying that I find it far superior, the methodology of returning to the qada of the madhab, the elders of the madhab, the leaders of the madhab. If you ask them and they give you an answer, your sheikh in fiqh, or the one who's been studying the madhab for 50 years, and he gives you an answer, that to me is superior than me trying to research the answer for myself. And I may understand or misunderstand. We have elders. This is a living madhab. They know it better than us, and we're going to follow them in it. Okay? Yeah, then I could research it later on and see maybe he has an opinion, or he's within, as long as he's within the madhab, even within the 4 schools, right? Point being is that we have a living tradition. We don't have a dead tradition where here we are and the books are here, let's try to figure this out. No, that's the Albani and the Salafi way. And I'm saying that not as like a curse. I'm saying that that's actually their method. Our way is the unbroken chain. Okay, where if there's been a check and a clarification generation after generation, and they lived with one another. They literally, student-teacher relationship for like 30, 40 years. Do you think he doesn't know? And not just with one scholar, with many. So it's constant living chain, and that is وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ. Do not take a position on which you do not have absolute certainty. I read it in the book, it's right there. That is your understanding of it. You may have misunderstood. There may be another book. Maybe in this issue, that one scholar is incorrect. How are you going to know this? Go back to the living scholars. That's why our religion, it is textual, and there are living scholars that we go back to. So that's why we're not allowed to follow madhabs that are dead. Botox, forbidden. Unless it's for medical purposes. If someone says, oh, this is for migraines, then maybe. But, and I don't really mean to offend anyone who has done Botox, but I genuinely feel that they end up making a person all look the same. It's a look. There is a Botox look when it's used in the forehead and in the lips and in the cheeks. The uniqueness, the feature of the person is gone. Right? And they all look, unfortunately, I have to say, like goldfish. Right? Wallah, uqsimu billah, I'm not joking with you, that I was in line at an airport. Okay? In a country where a lot of these surgeries are done. And there was a woman in front of me in the line. And then I went to the baggage check. Okay, where they check your bags, they check your handbag, you take your shoes off, etc. The security line. Woman was in front of me. I was like, same woman again. I get to my seat on the plane. That same woman is sitting next to me. Then I realized it's not the same woman. They're three different women. But they just look so identical because of the Botox. I'm telling you. And I don't mean to hurt the feelings of somebody Muslim who had done this. Maybe she didn't know, but I'm just saying, even as, even for cosmetic purposes, most people, they say the same thing as I do. That's the truth. So it doesn't make you look good, right? Anyway. But we'd have to say it's forbidden. Okay. Have you read the Burda by Tamim Barghouti? Nope, I haven't read it. But I did hear the name. Do Malikis do Raf al Yadayn after ruku'? No. No, they do it once, only for the opening of salah, and they put their hands outward like this. And they don't have to touch the ear like this. They just put their hands up like that. Okay? Hovering around the shoulder area, and the palms facing out. What about the Dawood Kim fraud case? Never heard of it. Is that something that I should know about? Tell me about it.
No, I know Dawood Kim. He's very, very famous. He's that Korean guy that converted to Islam, and he makes like videos on Islam. He travels the world. Very, very popular person. But I don't know about this fraud thing. I think so recently he said he purchased like a property, I guess, to build a masjid in Korea, and his like plan is to like make Islam spread in Korea. But I haven't heard about any fraud stuff. Do you have like a source for that? Inshallah.
Yeah. What's the Maliki position on laser hair removal for a Muslim woman? For a woman, removal of all the hairs of the body besides the hair of the head is permitted. Eyebrow shaping, however, is akin to beautification, to zina, to makeup, so she would have to cover it in front of non-mahram men. But removing hairs from the eyebrows that would render her to almost be like masculine, that is permitted, to remove the masculinity element of it. Okay. But to laser hair removal, if it involves showing the aura, that's forbidden. The laser is not the issue. The laser hair removal of, let's say, hair on the legs or hair on the face, that's not the issue. If you have to show your private parts to a stranger, to another woman, that's forbidden.
You got a super
not allowed to show that. The aura of a woman to a woman is from her belly button to her knee. Aura from woman to woman.
We've been getting some super chats that we've been kind of ignoring. I think some of them.
Oh, we got to answer them.
People like they sent it's.
I don't know about this. You got to. Yeah, you lead the way. You tell me. Maliki opinion on musical instruments. Maliki opinion is the strictest of all opinions on this. All music instruments are forbidden except for the duff in weddings played by a woman, played by girls. Sawi mentions another one that Sheikh Rami said is good for somebody who's rehabbing out of music, which is that opinion in which, and you can find this in Hashid al-Dasuqi, that is string instruments forbidden, wind instruments makruh, percussion halal. And the Egyptian Malikis rule by that. That's what they say. Absolutely. So they have different opinion there on than what is usually given by the Moroccan scholars and the scholars of the West, which is, again, the stronger of the opinions in the Maliki school. All instrumentation is forbidden. The only one exception is what happened in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, was women can play a drum on a wedding. That's it. Okay. So I gave you that one opinion, but then the other opinion, because some people are rehabbing, so they need to go slow on this. Are drugs such as cannabis allowed for men who claim they can't control their anger? Prophet ﷺ said we don't take medicine with the haram. And this is not something, anger is not something that is a dire need that we can say, yes, let's have that we can entertain a prohibited, a substance that is forbidden.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Anyone can say, I'm angry.
That's true. How been said, MBS says, can we talk about the fiqh of hunting with a dog? You may hunt with a dog, and you say Bismillah upon releasing the dog. And then when the dog comes back with a hunted animal, if that animal is still alive, you slaughter it. If it's dead by the killing of the dog, then khalas, it's ready. It's for you to eat, and you're allowed to eat that. If there is a suspicion that the dog ate from it, then the dog has shifted from a hunting dog to a non-hunting dog. So the moment you realize the dog ate from it too, then it's not allowed. Okay? That's your basic parameters of the hunting dog. Okay? What's your opinion on making hijrah to a Muslim country? It's always recommended to live around Muslims, provided that you won't harm anyone here, such as who? Leaving your parents behind. Leaving your children behind. Maybe a man, his kids live with his wife or ex-wife. He makes hijrah. Yes, that's good for himself, but now he can't educate his kids. Can't do that. I'm a convert living with my non-Muslim family, says Big Baller Brandon. They decided to get a dog. Okay. Will angels enter my home? Make the intention that your room is separate. Just make that intention, and hopefully Allah will have mercy on you. And will bring you some mercy. And follow the Maliki school on that their saliva of a dog is not najis. However, if a saliva of a dog comes on any eating utensil, you make sure you scrub that hard. Wash it very hard, including scrubbing and soap. The hadith on that said 7 times with water, once with dirt. It's like a qiyas on that. Analogy on that is something with scrubbing, something rough. The dirt meaning something rough and a substance to make sure you don't ingest the saliva of the dog. It's not good for you. But it's not najis. So take the Maliki opinion on that. If someone says if the foreskin was not removed properly at birth, should it be done in adulthood if it's safe and only by yourself or your wife? It's not a valid reason for a for somebody else to see your private part. Son of Iqra says, what is the reasoning behind musical instruments? Okay, here's the reasoning. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he says, yes, it's a big issue in the Muslim video editing world. I know, totally. It's we have to go with this humming nonstop, right? But listen, this is the rule. This is how it happened. The Prophet ﷺ forbade all instruments. Okay? Then an exception was made for weddings. He said, hit the drums for weddings. And in his time, it was the girls who hit the drum. So that's why the Malikists restricted it to that. The Shafi'iyya then say, the Prophet, peace be upon him, came upon a shepherd playing a flute. And he did not say it's haram. Rather, he was reciting something, so he covered his ears. But he did not say it's forbidden. But he covered his ears. So therefore, they took from that it's discouraged. The adhan, when they were seeing how to call people to prayer, someone said, let's blow a horn, and he did not condemn it as a prohibition. Because of that, the Shafi'i scholar said the wind instrument is a little less sinful. And they also said, because the Prophet ﷺ said, hit the drum with it during the wedding, they determined from that all percussion instrument is halal, absolutely. So the origin of all is all prohibited, but then exceptions were made. And the different madhabs differed on whether or not to accept those exceptions, because they don't know whether the exception that the instances with the horn and the flute came before or after the prohibition. So the Maliki scholars did not apply that, right? Except for that one narration that comes in in Hashid al-Dasuqi. I believe it's Hashid al-Dasuqi. He cites As-Sawi on that. Okay, but that's the Shafi'i fiqh in Tarim, that's what they apply. They apply permissibility of wind instruments too. But if you're in the Muslim video editing scene, okay, if you're in the Muslim video editing scene, most likely Muslims will not accept the wind instrument, not accept string instruments, will accept percussion, will accept voice. Even if your voice mimics it, it's halal. It's halal. If your voice mimics it, you haven't disobeyed Allah. The ruling on working on in a Western country's secret service. The ruling there, it's just like law enforcement. If what you're doing is halal, the job is halal. Lily Rose, hairy unibrow could be more defined into separate defined eyebrows. She's answering somebody else, okay? And we'll take only a few more questions because we got to wrap up. Are cycling jerseys haram for a man to wear? Omar, I'm more worried about the cycling shorts. I mean, those things are spray painted on. The tight shirt is much less of an issue for sports than the shorts. The tight shorts like that, that's a problem, right? Do you have any guidance on sleep training babies? Best practices? Yeah, put them in the car, put something to play on, and go on the highway. Hit the highway. Okay? Or there was one, every baby's different, but there is this, it's like a pod on a spring. And you put the baby in this little pod, and with your foot sitting at the desk or with the pod, you just tap it with your foot, and the baby's looking at you, rocking back and forth. That baby will be out. Okay? Can we offer Tahajjud prayers before the Iqamah of Fajr, or does it have to be before the first Adhan of Fajr? It has to be before the first Adhan of Fajr. Ben, if you're in the Muslim video editing world, we're always interested in meeting such people. So shoot us an email, please, at info@safinasociety.org. Adam says, since you're on the topic of music, what is the ruling on dancing in the Maliki school? I know Shafi'i allowed dancing and with the condition and use hadith that Prophet didn't object to a group of the people dancing in the mosque. He's talking about the Christians who did that. And he also, Ja'far as-Sadiq, Ja'far at-Tayyar, the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ, did dance in the presence of the Prophet, peace be upon him. I don't know the strength of that hadith, but I've never heard of, I have to look that up from the Maliki sources on dancing. I do know that any Muslim who does allow males to dance does not allow them to do something called kasr, which is moving the hips. Cannot dance like a woman. Your dancing would be, for example, with his legs. Like the debka. Masculine type of dance. But I'll look up for you any kind of nas on raqs, dancing. Why can't we follow what makes sense to us instead of following one madhab? Because your sense should not be trusted. Why don't you do the same thing if you get cancer? Why don't you do the same thing for engineering? Why don't you do the same thing for anything else? Why you trust yourself so much? What makes sense to you is more worrisome, probably, than what doesn't make sense to you. You know? If you don't make sense, if you don't know something, that's probably better for you than to imagine that you know it. Okay? And it's not an insult to the brother at all. My sheikh told me the same thing. Alhamdulillah, bifadlillah, had an opportunity to study with one of the greatest scholars of hadith in America, I believe. He's just not well known. His name is Hafiz Ghulam Yasin. Nobody knows about him except a small community and a few other people. And he teaches hadith. He teaches hadith in such a way that will just make your head spin. You recite to him a hadith and he tells you this person, this narrator, he narrates it here, and another one it's narrated differently, and another this book is narrated differently. He's an amazing scholar of hadith. Drive an hour to the sheikh to take the lesson. And there we're reading many, many hadiths that I already know. So I would say, Sheikh, let me go home and read and then circle the hadiths I don't know. Then bring them to you. And you only explain to me what I don't know. I don't need you to explain to me what I already know. Right? That's the naive young student who doesn't know anything. What did he say? He said, Brother Shadee, I'm not worried what you don't know. I'm worried what you think you know. That's what he answered me with. I'm not worried about what you know that you don't know. I'm worried about what you imagine yourself to know, to have understood. What you have imagined yourself to understood. So.
Someone's asking then, like a follow-up to this basically is, when can a person begin to do ijtihad? What are the requirements?
Oh. You're not going to ever do ijtihad. Your ijtihad is to see which scholar is most worthy of following. Which madhab? Then within that, which alim of today's ulama that you have available to study with is the most worthy of you studying under. Then you start studying with them. If there is ever a time that you will do ijtihad, I'll tell you when it is. It's when the moment when you are in a situation and you cannot contact your sheikh. Right? Then I'm stuck. I have to make a decision right now. That's not called ijtihad. That's called lesser of two evils. And you have to make a decision right now. Then you make your decision. Then you go and check with your teachers and the ulama on what is the truth of the matter or what is the correct opinion in the matter. That's the only time we're gonna ever do ijtihad.
Just to like put into perspective though, Sheikh, what is the like Imam Suyuti and all these other scholars mentioned, what is the actual requirement for someone to become a mujtahid? To become a
mujtahid, you need to become master of the Arabic language, master of the entire Quran and its recitations, master of hadith, master of usul, methodology, master of the sayings of the salaf, all the sayings of the companions, all the saying of the next generation. The Malikiyah have not declared a mujtahid since the year 800 after the Hijrah. So, 650 years. But, huh?
No, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
The ijtihad that we have today is mujtahid and nazila. So yes, young man, you can become a mujtahid, but you will only be a mujtahid in certain matters. Brand new matters. But you must become a master of the school first, because that mujtahid does not use Quran and hadith. He uses analogy within the school. An analogy within the school is called mujtahid fin nazila. Nazila means a brand new issue, brand new. Like Bitcoin, it's brand new. A currency that physically doesn't exist, right? Isn't that what Bitcoin is? Or let's say cryptocurrency in general, right? It does not physically exist, correct or incorrect? It doesn't physically exist. It's a symbol on a screen that people have agreed to has a value. And no government sponsors it. It's not backed by any government. This is a new matter, right? So the muftis of today, mujtahid fin nazila of today, he masters his madhab. His scholars tell him that you're a master of the madhab, and they begin referring questions to him. That's the signal that he's graduated, and he can give fatwa on new matters himself. But he uses analogy to the madhab. Okay, make sense? Khalil Barakal ibn Arafah of Tunisia died 803. Was the last mujtahid in the Maliki school. And we cited him today in saying that, in his saying that he doesn't have a problem in the removal of the hair from the cheek. It's not what's considered the beard. Beard would be what's on the bone here. Is that a shisha pipe in your hand? Kaleem says. This is a miswak. Oh, this? No, there's not a shisha pipe. This is a gift that the brother, the builder who redid our building, he gave me this gift as a gift from Egypt. So I just keep it here. What makes someone eligible for ijtihad? It's a chain. Malik was a mujtahid. What made Malik a mujtahid? His teachers. What made them mujtahid? His teachers. What made them mujtahid? The companions. What made them mujtahid? The Prophet ﷺ. When the Prophet says, be a judge, that's a signal that you're a mujtahid. So that person now, when he trains people, he does the same thing to his students. All right, now you take the answers. All right, you start answering the questions. You answer these new issues. You be a judge. And it trickles down. It's a chain of transmission all the way down. Starts from the Prophet ﷺ all the way down. Nobody could say, I'm a mujtahid. No. I spent 20 years in the library. No, it doesn't work like that. Scholars will tell you, one or more will say, yes, I testify that he's a master of the madhab. And it's going to be known. Scholars teach. We know who their students are. It's known. Everyone's going to know you. Okay. Like there's not going to be some new person. Just to give you another example. There's not going to be a new person in, let's say, the heavyweight title of the world in boxing. Muhammad Ali put this very well and actually explained the chain of transmission pretty well. They asked him, Muhammad Ali, are you the best boxer in the world? He said, yes. I said, how could you say that? He said, because anyone who's going to reach this level, we would have seen him coming up the mountain, right? You can't reach the top of the mountain unless you're seen in the years prior. Forget boxing. This is not about sports. This is about the idea that before someone reaches the top, we see them coming up. He's not going to come out of nowhere. You'd see him coming up in juniors. He would have been in the Olympics. He would have been in this tournament, that weight class, until he finally enters into the heavyweight class. And then we know him, right? Same way. Same way. Is it haram or makruh to hold the mushaf without wudu? It's haram to touch the mushaf without wudu unless there's a necessity. And some of those people who have a necessity, such as the bookseller, right? Or someone removing the mushaf from the ground or something. Other than that, for worship, you have to have wudu. Ladies and gentlemen, we got long and we got to go. A lot of beautiful Q&A here. Okay. A lot of beautiful Q&A here. All right, folks. Jazakumullahu khairan. Barakallahu fikum. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم.